Hi, welcome. If you haven't seen our video of our X-Men Apocalypse skit, along with our spoiler-free review, I suggest watching that first. Just because we're gonna delve more into the reasons why it was bad.
This is the look Bryan Singer put on my face.
This is what I've been dealing with for the past day. So, in our spoiler-free review, we mentioned about how there were too many plots going on.
Too many cooks!
Too many cooks in the kitchen, yes. We're going to go into each of those plots briefly.
Because they were all terrible.
So, why don't you start us off with the Cyclops one?
Okay. So, traditionally in the comics, Cyclops and his brother Havoc both fell out of a plane that their parents died on. In reality, his father was taken away into space to become Corsair, one of the Starjammers. But the orphan Cyclops and orphan Havoc didn't know about each other, and, Cyclops was taken into the Xavier Institute after his powers manifested. Well, here they went a slightly different route. Apparently Cyclops and Havoc both had a family, which is fine. Havoc went to the Institute first. His older brother learned how to, work with the X-Men, control his powers. And so you have Scott here, who shows up with, kind of a troublemaker at school, it seems, and kind of a slacker. Didn't think he was going to amount to anything because his brother was in the army. His brother was, better. And so when Havoc dies in the movie, Cyclops is left not sure what to do because he thought his brother was going to become something, going to change the world.
His life was more important.
His life was more important. So, Jean, who can read minds, gives him the message that no, his brother thought he was going to be something, that Cyclops was going to amount something. Right there you have good impetus for Cyclops to become leader of the X-Men like he's supposed to. You have something that's going to drive him, to show him becoming the man that he's eventually going to be, the leader and the heart of the X-Men. Xavier's firstborn.
Wow. And
nothing ever happens with it. Literally nothing.
Yep. And then you have Mystique. They made her out to be some hero role model for all the other mutants. How she was like the savior and someone to look up to. And I think 2 or 3 times in the movie they kind of
touch on that.
They focused on that. Like you see Storm.
You see Storm with a poster of her.
Yep. And then later on, you see Storm like watching Apocalypse like choke her, and she's like, "Oh my god, that's my hero."
Right. You see that. You see all the other mutants looking up to her.
Yeah. After the mansion blows up.
The mansion blows up.
Yep.
You see all these bits and pieces of this woman who idol who she doesn't want this.
Right.
And then she's given the opportunity to, in the Apocalypse battle and in the, subsequent things, to take on this mantle, accept this role. And you never really see her do it.
Nope.
She just goes to fight Apocalypse and then doesn't really do much.
Yep.
Like, if she was to, give some inspiring speech. Or
fight.
Well, she did try to fight, but
I don't call that a fight.
Lead others into a fight.
Yeah, like rally a charge or something.
Yeah.
Like, they drop these hints like that's what's going to happen, and it never fucking does.
The best you get is her giving them a speech at the very end of the movie after the Apocalypse battle.
Oh, yeah, when they agree to form the X-Men.
Right.
You also have... Who else? You have Xavier and Magneto. That was actually a good plot.
Yes. Solid in the beginning, solid in the middle, solid at the end. Yep. That's the only one. But it's more the fact that you've had 2 movies to build it up.
Right.
And you have incredibly powerful actors anchoring that.
Yep.
That were able to do a lot with the little that they're given, that it actually makes sense. It's not from the framework of the movie itself. It's more what these people were able to do with it.
You had Charles again with Moira, his love interest from Days of Future Past, right?
No, from
First Class?
First Class, yeah.
First Class.
Which, I get, you've used the character again, so you want that to touch upon that backstory there, but there's not even a real story because her memories are gone.
Right. So
It's-
it starts out where he uses the cerebro. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
To see her in Egypt, and they're like, oh, who was it? Hank's like, oh, how's she? Or not Hank. It was Havoc.
Yeah.
How's she doing? Oh, she looks good. Oh, well, I mean, she's doing good. You know, like obviously he's still interested in her, and then like when they meet her, he like fumbles up, and you can tell he's still into her, and then that's pretty much it until the very end when he gives her memories back, and yeah, but like it was
Yeah, there's no real plot there. It's just cast aside mentions.
yeah, and it's like two really quick off in the beginning, and then nothing, and then one more at the end. Kind of like Jean Grey and Cyclops, their love story that started out, and they just
Well, there's no real love story there yet.
Well,
I mean, you can, because you know that they end up together.
right.
You kind of see the beginnings of that, but that's more inference on your part than it is.
Right.
Them
So I mean,
actually
I guess
developing the
in
plot.
that sense, I mean that one was done as best as it could.
Right. And yeah, I can't fault them for that, but because you do know that what's going to happen,
Yep.
and it's the same for a lot of things where in the movie you do know what's going to happen. You do know Storm becomes an X-Men.
right.
So the parts that you're playing with there, you don't have to physically come out and say these things. You could have just hinted at some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like her, seeing Mystique getting, strangled, or these things. You're like, that she's been led astray by Apocalypse. Well, you don't need all that.
Right. Just like you don't really need the origins for his horsemen, the people he picks. Like,
Exactly.
A lot of that was completely unnecessary, and they could have cut down a lot of the movie time.
Exactly. You introduce Angel as a cage fighter, which is completely wrong for the character who he is, and then have him ruin his wing to become the Archangel of Apocalypse. Well, without his entire, career as a hero and his tragic fall to becoming a horseman, you don't need any of the build up there. You
Right.
can just have him find Ward Worthington and make him his Archangel. You don't need the cage fighter origin. That's just ridiculous.
Yep. Wolverine, another completely unnecessary thing. Like, it's fine if you want to have like a cameo of him and they release him and then that's it. But that whole scene was drawn out way too far.
Yeah.
It was
He
probably
had like 15, 20 minutes of Wolverine rampaging when he's not even a character in the movie.
yeah, just to see fucking Jean Grey pull the thing off his head, and then he just slowly pulls the things out of his body, and then just runs like a crazy man out the door.
Right. And he is at that point.
It was funny though.
Yeah.
The running part. And then Quicksilver and Magneto.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship, like, you start off, you see Quicksilver sees the news of Magneto's back at large, and his mom comes in and he pretends he's playing Pac-Man, and he clearly wants to go see his father. He wants to find him,
Confront him, yeah.
confront him.
And then he never does.
He has the perfect opportunity too. Like, Magneto looks him in the eye and goes, "What are you here for?" And he's like, "I'm fighting for my family too." Like,
Yeah.
like,
Literally.
and then even at the end when Magneto and Jean are rebuilding the mansion,
Yep.
and Quicksilver's like, "Yeah, I think I'll hang around here too a little bit." It's like, the battle's over, Magneto's kind of on your side, and Magneto leaves, again, obviously,
Yeah.
at the end, and Quicksilver's left. Like, what was the point of even building that story up about how he wants to go confront his father, and he pussies out?
I can actually... I think that would have been fine if you'd given a little bit more into the development of it, the story itself.
Right.
But that's not...
It's mentioned, like, twice. It's hinted at twice.
Right. It's hinted at twice, mentioned like a few times, but that's not the story we came to see.
Nope.
It is great if you want to do that as a side or subplot, but you've given about as much attention to that as you have to everything else. And that's where the whole thing starts to fall apart.
Right. And then what should have been the main focus the Apocalypse story, mainly the final battle with him, was fucking terrible. The part where Xavier goes into Apocalypse's mind, or no, Apocalypse goes into Xavier's mind.
Other way.
No, Xavier goes to Apocalypse's mind.
Yes.
To fight him, the most powerful fucking psychic in the world, and he gets his ass kicked, which is fine. I don't care if you want to get his ass kicked, but it happened in like 30 seconds.
Right. He's doing fine in the fight, and then all of a sudden, Apocalypse knows just what to do to stop him.
Yeah.
And that would have been... I would have been happy with that if that was the way that fight was going to go. You know, maybe draw it out a little bit longer, but have him at least serving as a distraction to him getting his ass kicked on the ground.
Right. Meanwhile, the Quicksilver, Beast, all them are fighting Apocalypse physically, and Xavier's mind fucking him.
Right. If you have it going simultaneous, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But instead, what we've got is people coming at, Apocalypse Ninja Turtle style. As in, you do it one at a time. You don't attack him at the same time.
You throw some metal at him, you shoot some laser beams at him, you try to punch him a few times, but they take their turns.
Right. And then he's got an impenetrable shield that nobody can get through, and it's sheer ridiculousness at some points. Like, you've got Magneto, who has, I don't know, his power's up to the nth degree that he can rip metal out of the earth, but he's just gonna huck rocks at Apocalypse. Like, in succession! Like, it's a machine gun of rocks, but that's all he can think to do. The guy who's wearing metal, he's not gonna inject him into the stratosphere and shoot him directly into the sun. He can rip the bones out of another hero. But when it comes to fighting Apocalypse, oh no, he's got that shield, dude. I'm gonna throw pebbles at him.
Right, that's what
I'm just gonna find a box of nails and I'm just gonna huck them at him for eternity.
Apocalypse gave Magneto, like, he souped up Magneto's powers to be able to do all this awesome shit, and he's not using it.
Yeah, he's not using it. Cyclops is just shooting at him. I mean, Beast, I don't know, jumps at him.
No, he growled a few times too.
Yeah, well, that's all he's got in his arsenal. I don't know, you're a fucking scientist, man. Think of something. That's what you do. Oh, my stars and garters.
Oh, I've never heard you say that.
That's because Beast says it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Alright, well. Another thing, the whole thing, like, why Cyclops goes to the schools, because he can't control his powers, and he's still like,
right, you want to know why he can't control his powers? Because when he fell out of the plane, he hit his head, and it damaged the part of his brain that's supposed to control that. But, let's forget that.
The point I was trying to make was, like, they mentioned that, and then at the end, he's like, Mystique's like, well, what are you doing? He's like, I can't control my powers. She's like, well, then don't. So, like, then he takes his glasses off and just goes fucking full ham on this guy. Meanwhile, Xavier's getting his ass raped inside Apocalypse's head, and he's shouting for help from Jean Grey, who then she's afraid because she can't control her powers, and he's like, well, just let go, just let it go. And then I'm pretty sure the song from Frozen go on. And then she turns into Phoenix. But
let me tell you this. I love the Phoenix.
He does.
I think it is one of the greats, I mean, now overused at this point, like, entities, like Jean Grey in that incarnation is great, super powerful, can eat a fucking planet.
Mm-hmm. She just does like a sonic burst.
She just, I don't know, just flares up.
I think she farted. I think that's all it was.
I have never seen a character so powerful do so little.
Yeah, and but apparently that was enough.
Yeah, she just her presence fries Apocalypse. Like, just
but
too
not
crisp.
But yeah,
like she doesn't even move her arms or anything. She just stands there on air.
Yeah, the camera zooms in on her face.
She's walking on sunshine.
Oh.
And don't it feel good? And yeah, that's it. I mean, there's a little bit of X-Men teamwork there. Like, Magneto throws some metal to pin Apocalypse to the ground. Phoenix is, like, melting his face off. And
Cyclops is melting his face off.
Cyclops is, like, blasting him. Like, there's a little bit going on, but it's, yeah, you don't feel good about it.
No, it's like we said, it's anticlimactic. It's fucking stupid. Like
I am all for watching Charles Xavier kick someone's ass in their own mind. I like that. That's classic X-Men comics right there. I've been waiting to see that.
But we didn't.
It doesn't happen.
We've been rambling enough. This was... We just had to get this off our chest because it was just that fucking bad. I know we normally don't do spoiler reviews, but this one was special. And I'll leave you with one...
this movie was special.
I will leave you with one final annoyance I have with this movie.
Oh, God.
I might be nitpicking. However, the scene where that made Magneto snap with the bow and arrow, okay? The guy has the bow like this. He has the arrow like this, knocked. Barely. That's about the draw he has. Not this. No.
He didn't go full Archer.
This. He just went this. And meanwhile, Magneto's daughter's freaking out because they're taking Magneto away, and she starts using her Alfred Hitchcock powers to summon birds. And the guy's like looking around.
Her name was Nakaruru.
Her name was Nakaruru. That is a fact. The guy was like this, and then he just like looking at the birds and just... That arrow should have just fallen. Maybe gone like 2 feet. Fallen.
Maybe her bird powers attract wood.
Shut up. No, it doesn't. The arrow did not do that. It went flying straight through his daughter.
She attracts wood like metal.
And his wife. And that's how they die.
Let me just tell you this.
Calling bullshit.
Let me tell you this.
Why was it even pointed at her? They were there for Magneto.
Not only that, but the arrows did not even have metal tips.
No, they specifically went there with rope and bows, and they didn't wear their badges because they knew Magneto could control metal. So, exactly what was on the tip of that arrow? A fucking rock?
A guy used Locket to kill 6 men and couldn't think of a way to do anything other to Apocalypse than throw metal at him. Can we just think about that for a second?
That's it. Don't see the movie. Just don't.
Insane.